Hello, this is take 1 million of this, I think. Um, it's been a bit of a pain in the ass. Purely, I really don't know why. It's just, I don't know if it's just Kerbal or it's Fraps playing up, but I usually don't get these problems with games. I think this is like take 5 or something. Sorry. Anyway, it's been almost a year since I put anything up. Good reason for that. My microphone sort of broke, so unless you want silent videos, then I couldn't really make anything. What I want to do today is I want to do something slightly different. I want to make a series of Kerbal tutorials. Two reasons. One, I enjoy it, and reason two, a lot of videos I see on Kerbal, they generally overcomplicate things quite a bit, which isn't really that good. So hang on, see, I already tried to do this. Delete. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start up a completely new save. Tutorial. Yeah, I've also had quite a lot of stability issues with the latest update. There's been a lot of issues with stability. It seems to be crashing sometimes on load screen. I have turned some of the settings down as well, so it doesn't look as, well, it looks like shit anyway, but it doesn't look, it looks a bit more shitty. Okay, so introduction to the game. This is Kerbal, a space program, and the idea is you have a space program and you do whatever the hell you want with it. If you look here, you got your own little solar system. Here is Earth, or Kerbin, the moon, and over here is Minmus, a tiny little, I don't even know what it's made of. I know a lot of people say it's ice, but I don't know. I don't think it'd be ice water, whatever it is. We'll just say it's a snowball. I'm playing a game where little green people are going into space, and I'm questioning realism. Here is Eve, or where Venus should roughly be. Yeah. Here's Moho. It's just a barren brown lump, which I don't intend on going there anytime soon. Then we have Duna, which is Mars, or what's supposed to be Mars. Then outside of that, you have Dres, which is an asteroid world. Pretty large asteroid at that. Then, following on from that, we have Jewel, which is, I imagine, Jupiter. The interesting thing about Jewel is, as it's a gas giant, there's no surface, so you can't really land on it. If you try and land on it, you just end up getting stuck at, like, a set altitude, and you can't really do anything. So it's not that much fun. And it's also got a hell of a lot of moons, so it'd be quite a good idea to set up a space station here. Installing the Kethane mod and stuff like that, and trying to explore the system from a station, because it takes quite a long while. I think it takes about 3 years. Well, my last flight here, yeah, I can remember taking me about 1 or 2 years game time to actually get there. And then the final world we have is Elu, which is, yeah, a snowball, I think. It's a fairly weird world. I've never actually landed on it. In previous saves, the only worlds I've ever been bothered to land on were Duna, Eve, and I've landed on Jewel. Well, I say landed with air quotes. Okay, let's go to Kerbin. I think the first thing that would be logical to do would be to get something into orbit. Oh, in history it was like, first they sent a satellite up, they sent the Soviets sent the Sputnik probe up. I'm not actually sure what happened to that, all I know is that they sent it up, then they sent Gagarin. But he didn't go into orbit, he went on a, yeah, he didn't go into orbit. He got into space, but he wasn't ever in orbit. Then the Americans sent their guy up, I'm not sure if he went into orbit or not. But what we're going to do is we're going to skip all that, and we're just going to send something straight into orbit. So here are the buildings of the Space Center. We have the tracking station. This is where you'll be able to manage all your ongoing missions. Here, that is actually a building which you can't select yet, although I think someone found it out to be mission control. Here we have the launch pad, which is where you can just straight up launch your, sorry. Oh, Christ, pardon me. Where you can just straight on launch your ships. Obviously we only have stock ships because this is a new save, I haven't built anything yet. We have the astronaut complex. Yeah, with your 3 original things, and then these dudes. Yeah. Then we have the spaceplane hangar, where you can build planes and space planes. It's quite interesting. I absolutely suck at it, but it's quite interesting to fool around with. Then we have the vehicle assembly building, which is where all the fun takes place and you build the rockets. Inside the vehicle building thingy-majiggy, you have a series of, these rocks are mods, I'll just say that, and also the home command pod is a mod, which I've been meaning to uninstall for quite a while. I think I also have keythane parts in here as well. Yeah, I do, but I haven't updated the keythane mod yet, so can't really use those. Anyway, in here you have several tabs. You have pods, propulsion, control, structural, aerodynamic, utility, and science. In pods you have your command pods. Based on how big you want your ship to be and how many people you want in it is going, or what purpose it's for, is going to determine what pod you get. For us, we only want one guy and we want a reasonably small ship because we're only going into orbit. We're not doing anything fancy. But if you want a larger ship with 3 men, you'd go for this one, or that, or the lander can. If you want it to land, you'd go for a landing can. Sorry, pardon me again. If you wanted to build a space station, you'd go for the cupola, I guess, because it's got a nice view, it's got lots of windows. If you didn't want to send a man into space, then you've got all these probe parts which will operate your ship, but they don't require anyone. Or there's the external command seat, which is good for, I don't know really. I imagine you could probably make like a rover or something, or like a moon buggy, but I've never done it. Moving on to propulsion, we have several engines here. We have, you'll be able to figure it out yourself. To be honest, the engines are a bit there, but there's loads of different types of engine here anyway. What we're going to focus on first though is what fuel we're going to use. We're going to use these fuel tanks. We're going to use one of these. Hang on. Actually, first of all, we're going to go into structural. We're going to get a decoupler, which will separate these 2 parts, so that when we come back into the atmosphere, I can, and also a parachute. When we re-enter the atmosphere, we can separate these 2 parts, and then that'll just leave me with the command module, and then I can open the parachute, and the astronaut inside will come safely down. And then propulsion, we're going to want one of these. These aren't the most powerful out of these 2, but they do have thrust vectoring, which is quite useful. It just gives you a little bit more control over the ship. Control, you used to have SAS modules? I don't know. I think since the update, the SAS modules have become next to useless. Because the SAS is largely in the actual command module itself, but they used to be really important, but I haven't had to use one since the update. So I don't think you really need those. If you do, then turning on SAS basically it'll control your ship for you. It'll keep you pointed in the direction you were pointing in when you turned SAS on, to put it bluntly. Oh, nicely. Yeah, okay. Then we're going to go structural, and we're going to get radial decouplers, which are these thingy-bobs here. We're going to strap 3 of these on. Could put 4 on, but nah. We're only going to orbit, we don't need that much. We're going to go for these smaller fuel tanks. Yep, I like that. Strap engines onto those as well. And then we're going to go into aerodynamics and aerodynamic nose cones. And I'll quickly explain. Aerodynamic, that's where you'll find a lot of parts for your ship, like winglets, which will give you more control. This is more so for when you're building space planes, because it gives you control within the atmosphere, whereas if you're building a rocket you're really going up a side, or like sideways. You don't really need, this thing will be going into space, so these things will become next to useless within about 2, 3, 4 minutes after takeoff. Pardon me. But just for the sake of doing it, we'll just put some little things. This will just give us a little bit of extra control. We're going to want to go into structural, and we're going to want to use these strut connectors. This will just hold the ship together. Because if we launched like this, I imagine it would all wobble and come apart. It's quite annoying, pardon me again. Watch now, my microphone's muted. Oh no, it's not. Happy days. Yeah. These are really important. I recommend using these every time. But the most important thing with rocket building is you need to test yourself. You need to go in, have an idea for something, and it could take upwards of 10 tries to get something right. I mean, the only reason this is probably going to work for me is because I've built these things quite a lot of times, but even then there's no guarantee this is going to work. Orbiter 1. It might put us into orbit. If not, it'll just get us into space, so it's going to be rockety thing 1. But yeah, a lot of Kerbal is trial and error. As long as you understand how basic rules of flying in space go, I don't really think, yeah. As long as you understand how to like move around in space and get to where you need to be, it all falls into place. Eventually. Phew, right. Right, I'm quite happy with this. I think this is definitely going to get us in a... it's definitely going to get us into space. We might not orbit, but it's going to get us into space. Right, okay, let's just save this. And one very important thing to do is always make sure your staging is correct. Okay, so stage 1, when I hit space, these 3 rockets are going to fire. Yep, that's what I want. When I hit space again, these are all going to detach, shooting these rockets off. Yeah, I want that. When I hit space again, yep. I don't like that part, so this is going to decouple. Then I'll have the option to hit the parachute, because if you hit the parachute too early, you take forever to come down, whereas I just find it more fun to wait until you got about 200 meters off the ground and then hit the parachute. Okay, save and launch. Let's do this. I think we're having a daytime launch, hopefully. Right, here's the launch pad. As you can see, there's our little flag over there. Here's our little rocket. What we're going to want to do is we're going to turn SAS on by pressing T. That will just give us a bit more stability. I think the SAS is in the module. Toggle torque. Oh wow. up here in resources we have electrical charge. Well, electrical charge is basically used by the torque. Electrical charge will be generated by these engines, so we don't have to worry about solar panels or nuclear fuel rods or anything. Liquid fuel, that's just how much fuel we have, and oxidizer, that's how much oxidizer we have. Space planes, well, planes mostly don't use oxidizer. The only reason we're using oxidizer is obviously there's no oxygen in space and we need something to allow the fuel to burn, because if there was no oxygen then we couldn't burn the fuel, and then there's no propulsion, then our entire system would be fucked. Right, so what we're going to want to do, we got SAS on. We don't need RCS. RCS is for little miniature thrusters. They're really useful for docking, but we don't need them right now. We're going to want to throttle almost all the way up. We're just going to turn that down a little bit just to avoid overheating. I don't think these engines overheat actually, but I know a lot of the larger engines do. So it's just always good to get that into your head. Don't go for full throttle. Just go a tiny notch down. Then we are going to hit space and launch this. Now, headphone users or anyone who's got their volume right up, I warn you, it may be loud. Last time I did, it was incredibly so. So 3, 2, 1. Oh, it wasn't that loud actually. That's okay. Okay, what we're doing is we're just going straight up. And then when we get up, on the nav ball, on the left you have 270 degrees, and on the right you have 90 degrees. These basically correspond to, well, not correspond, I don't, using words I don't know the meaning of. These are basically east and west, I guess. You're either, when you get enough height, you're going to want to start slowly turning onto either one. It doesn't matter right now which one, but still. Okay, those engines gone. They ran out of fuel. There we go, we're just going to keep on going up. Okay, we'll crank that up a bit. It's roughly when we get to about 500 meters per second. I'm going to turn 90, but you can start turning 270 if you want to. Seeing as all we're doing is getting into space and possibly orbiting, it doesn't really matter which way you turn. Okay. Another useful tip, if you press caps lock, it refines your controls a little bit. It makes the turning a little bit less severe. Okay, what are we? We're about, our apoapsis, which is our highest point, is well above the atmosphere now. The atmosphere ends around 70,000, like 69,000 possibly. But we're still dragging through the atmosphere, so that's going to come down slightly. So we're just going to be very careful of that. Okay, we out of the atmosphere yet? Yeah, we should be. Yep, we are now out of the atmosphere. You'll know when you're out of the atmosphere because you can warp normal time. You don't have to physical warp. Physical warping comes with all sorts of bugs. It can rip apart your ship, but still. It should be fine. Just don't thrust with it on. Okay, seeing as we're going... we turn 90, so we're going to be heading in a 90 direction, so we're going to turn to exactly 90, and we're going to wait till we hit our apoapse, and then we're going to power forward, and that should increase our orbit and circularize us. But we are in space now. See? Wasn't that hard. Okay, and we're just about there, and now we're going to want to hit... yeah. And see, now we're gaining velocity, the orbit's increasing. Ow. I don't think we're going to have enough fuel to get into orbit, actually. Not a complete orbit, anyway. So, again, I don't think I explained that too clearly. Okay, here we go. We are out of fuel now. But we are in space. But we didn't quite get into orbit. We'll need a little bit of a bigger ship to get into there. Okay, we can do that next time. Well, now we're just into space. Now we can do what we want. We can even send our little pilot on EVA. Here he is now. in space. Turn his little headlights on and get a good view of the ship. You know, all we're gonna want to really be careful of is that we're not in space when we're actually coming back through the atmosphere, because we're traveling so fast. Friction with the atmosphere. Fuck off. Sorry, I just got a message. Okay. Because of friction with the atmosphere, because we're traveling so fast, when we do hit the atmosphere, the amount of friction caused by the atmosphere hitting the ship at such high speeds is going to basically cause things to get a little bit hot. So we're going to hit space again, detach that, and then, whoa. Slight glitch there. Well, that's new. Okay, we're going to want to turn... I don't think they've added deadly atmospheres yet, so it doesn't really matter at what angle you hit the atmosphere, I don't think. Oh, what the hell? Okay, this is weird. Whoa. Okay, this is a new bug. I didn't know of this before, but okay. We're just gonna... Nah. We are in space. At least we got to space. Okay, we're coming back down. Again, deadly atmospheres, and if the atmosphere was, like atmospheric heat was simulated, then I imagine you'd have to hit the atmosphere at a right angle, making sure you hit it here, because I imagine that's where the heat shield would be. The easiest way to do that is to basically have, if you look on your nav ball, to have this little indicator on the retrograde, and then that'll mean you are facing retrograde and the bottom of the ship will be facing prograde, meaning that the bottom of the ship is facing the direction which you are travelling, and if the heat shield's going at the bottom of the ship, then it should absorb all of that heat. Yeah. I'll explain prograde and retrograde in a later video. They're not that complicated, but it's just a bit of a mouthful right now. And I have a feeling I need to actually write some things to read out on these. Because right now I'm just making it up as it goes along. So, we have successfully gone into space. We are now leaving space. We're in the atmosphere. In the very, very thin atmosphere. As you can see, we're traveling about 1.8 kilometers a second. Oh, here we go. Hang on. Slightly misjudged that. You can see the re-entry effects happening now. The bottom of the ship is getting incredibly hot, because that's where the... yeah, all the heating-y things taking place. And as we're hitting the thicker atmosphere, we are slowing down now. We're coming down to about 1 kilometer per second. And then, yeah, we're below 1 kilometer a second now. And now we just wait on tumbling. This is an incredibly boring part of this game. I'm just gonna let this wobble now. So obviously I could have set my parachute off by now, but that would just take too long to get to the ground, and I don't think you can be killed by G-forces on this yet. At least I don't think your astronauts can die from G-forces. I hope they can't. Oh, now we just slowly tumble down. Here we go. Okay, I'm gonna wait until I get to about, I don't know, seeing as I'm like entering over the sea, this is accurate. Okay, we're about 500. Going down. And now obviously we can physical time warp. But it's still going to take a damn long time to hit the ground. So there we go, we have successfully made it into space. We didn't orbit, but still. And splashdown. There we go, Space Center. We return there, and then we can recover the ship, I think. If we go on to our this thing, splashdown. Yes, we can now recover. And there we go. On day 1 we made it into space, and yeah. Ta-da. We didn't orbit though, which was kind of disappointing. But anyway, thanks for watching, I guess, and stay tuned for more. Please, if you liked the video or you have constructive criticism, please leave a comment or like, or obviously dislike if you didn't like it at all. I'd rather you be honest. But yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for your time. I hope you learned something. I know it wasn't much this video, but I will go into more complex stuff next time. Just to leave you, I shall show you my other save. This is a save I've been playing for quite a while. Start game. Just to show you I'm not, you know, a new guy trying to palm off my abilities onto, well, my noobish abilities onto you. Come on, load. There we go. I'll just show you everything I've done so far. Okay, I have Sat-1, which is just an orbiting satellite. I have a moon satellite. I have flags on the moon. I've got an orbiter around Minmus. Yeah. I have flags at... I have flags on Eve and Duna. And I have this. This is my pride and joy. What the hell's Orion landing? Oh, it's just another flag. Here is the Orion station. This requires me to basically get into orbit around the moon and then dock with things in orbit around the moon. It's quite a long trip, but it's... I don't know, it's worth it. Basically each module has to be built back on Kerbal and then flown up here. So far I've gotten 3. These have fuel in them, solar panels, and crew habitat spaces. Obviously I have Bill, Bob, Danbury, and Jeb up here. And I have an extension module which I designed horribly wrong. I think I'm just going to have to crash that back into the surface of the moon. Then there's the little communication module there. Resources. So look, we got we got quite a bit of stuff here. This is going to eventually become a fuel station. Pardon me, for a later trips and stuff. The reason I built it around the moon is I don't know. I just felt building a space station around the Earth was a bit amateur. No offense if you have a space station around the Earth. But anyway, I've been Zazzy. Thank you for watching. I'm going to go edit this now to stop all me pausing-y shit. And yeah, have a nice day. Thank you.